All right, folks, Barack Sports here. Here we have a video of the Shah of Iran from 1976, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Let's take a look at what he said.
The Palestinians obviously had the sympathy of many people, almost all the countries in the world, persecuted people, stateless people, looking for a home or something. Yeah. You know, exactly like the sympathy that the Jews had when they were searching for a home.
Right.
But our good Palestinian friends must know that there is only a limit to where they can go and bully the world.
Bully the world?
Yes, by terrorism and blackmailing and this and that.
This is 1976. This is 1976 when the Shah of Iran is talking about how much they have to limit themselves in bullying the world. And I think his words are really important. He didn't say bully Israel. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is not about just the state of Israel. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is just a piece in the puzzle of a broader picture of big bullies trying to do big things and take over the big world. The achievement, the win, the day that they get to continue to climb up this mountain and stop and look back and then they get to the top for them is the entire universe. The top for them is the whole world being under their rule, their ideology, their religion, their say, their politics, their movement. That's what they want the earth to be. That's what they want the world to be. That's what they want civilization to be. Because then there's no competitors. There's nobody that can get in the way of what they want to do and what they want to say. That is what you call supreme power. In order to get to supreme power, you have to bully people around the world. You can't zoom in and just focus on this little region, this little state the size of New Jersey, which happens to be the only Jewish state in the world. And this little only Jewish state is getting in the way of this big bully trying to achieve their big dream. And this little state happens to be allies with the West, with America. And until that little small state gets out of the equation, they can't continue to achieve their big dream. This isn't just rhetoric of 2025, 2024, 2023, since the 7th of October, people. So many people say it over and over, and it didn't just start in 1948, but you have here in the 1970s, the Shah of Iran talking about it.
You know perfectly well, Your Majesty, that the leaders of the Arab world find the Palestinians as much a problem almost as the Israelis do. Isn't that a fact?
What I can say is that they should really open their eyes, reassert their situation. And if there is a hierarchy and someone there in command
of the Palestinians, you mean? Of
the Palestinians, to start a new policy, because the actual one is going to lead them nowhere.
The actual, I have to go back to the main screen for this. The actual policy, which he's talking about back then in the 1970s, is no different than their policy today, which has done what? Which has led them nowhere. No Palestinian state, no sovereignty, no self-determination, no freedom, no safety, no peace. What have they achieved? Who's been the first prime minister? What's been the first invention? And you can't hit me with but they're run in an open-air prison apartheid state. No, they elected the people who run their government right now. They allowed them to say, this is going to be the group that's going to get us to where we want to be. Really, that's the case? Look at the current state of affairs of Gaza. You F around and you find out. And they've been effing around for so long that at some point in time, we have to come to the drawing table and say, guys, this ain't working. This math does not math. It doesn't benefit anybody in any way, shape, or form. And anybody who wants to endorse this cyclical event of continuing to go back and forth in fighting, well, then what side do you really stand on when it comes to humanity? That's a really good question to ask somebody if they're claiming to be a prospect for peace, a peace activist, a freedom movement. A freedom movement, when I think of the word freedom, I think of people like Martin Luther King Jr., who didn't advocate for violence at all. And you look at how racism and systematic racism in the United States of America, how that's evolved since the Civil Rights Movement. At one point in time, you had water fountains for white people and water fountains for black people. You had schools for white people, schools for black people. You had bathrooms for white people and bathrooms for black people. You had buses for white people and buses for black people. That's not the case anymore. Things can change. But you can't bully yourself into trying to create any positive change if you call that positive change. By inciting violence and terrorism against another group of people where you're claiming to go for a peace movement, the two don't go hand in hand.
With whom do they really have understanding? With Assad, with Sadat, with Hussein?
That's a very good question.
They have none with any of these leaders.
Not to my knowledge.
And they seem to be out of control.
It seems so today.
And what about the Arab leader who supports the Palestinians, the terrorists, with his oil money, Muammar Gaddafi of Libya?
He's crazy.
You really believe that?
Oh, yes. No doubt. The man is absolutely irresponsible and crazy.
It's crazy because if anyone were to go back to this clip and watch him, they'd say that the Shah of Iran is working for the Mossad. They'd say that the Supreme Prince today of Iran is working for the Mossad. They would say that any single person that supports the right of the state of Israel to exist works for the Mossad, is getting paid, is an undercover agent, is a Zionist. If you believe that Jews should have a place to live in their ancestral homeland and you support their right for self-determination, you are a Zionist. You don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. If you think that Jews should have their own place in their own state to live, to go back to their indigenous homeland and their right for self-determination, you, my friend, are a Zionist. Doesn't mean that you have to be anti anything else. Supporting Israel's right to defend themselves is just the first step in trying to achieve a conversation. The same way, if you would say that you support the people who identify as Palestinian to have their right to self-determine. Bullying the other side around over and over and over and over isn't going to get anywhere when we're talking about self-determination. We're talking about drawing lines for borders, when we're talking about being neighbors, when we're talking about having peace. We can't even get to those conversations. Those are prerequisites that we need to have. So it's really important that we go back to some of these, the Shah of Iran. I wasn't even born. And this is the kind of things that other leaders in that region are talking about, the Palestinians, their movement, what they're going to do. And look at today. Look at today. We had the first intifada. We had the second intifada. We had, after the IDF in Israel displaced themselves from the Gaza Strip in 2005, the disengagement, it goes on and on and on. And it will continue to go on and on and on until somebody addresses these big bullies in the Middle East. The bullies can't continue to bully anymore. It hasn't gotten anywhere any good. So we need to do something about it. If you believe in me and you want to support, you can donate through PayPal or buy me a coffee. Every little bit helps. But honestly, the best way to support is by joining the Inner Circle on Patreon, where you get exclusive perks, bonus content, and allow me to continue to make impactful videos and grow this platform. Do not forget to check out our Discord community with people from all over the world. We're having debates, meaningful dialogue every single day. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. I'll see you next time.